Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Jasween Kaur from University Business School, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Today we are going to talk on the module Service Distribution Strategies from the paper Services Marketing. So students, let's see what we are going to learn from this module. Designing challenges and opportunities in designing an effective distribution system of the service organization for effective service delivery. Second, we need to understand or we'll comprehend the channel selection in service distribution strategies. The role of distribution is to make the service reach the target market effectively. Now let's understand what distribution means. Distribution means availability and accessibility of a service to consumers. From customer's viewpoint, availability means the services are available to the consumer when he wants it. Accessibility means it is relatively easy for the consumer to conduct a transaction with the service vendor. Distribution of service is an important element of marketing mix. Distribution system may be defined as the channel or the means which are being used by the service provider in gaining access to the potential buyer of the service product. The aspects of service distribution are: there is no actual tangible product which is being distributed. It involves customer movement to the service location. The intermediaries and agents play a key role in recommending services to consumers. The service organization has to devise distribution strategies suiting customer coming directly and through agents or other modes. Service transactions. Distribution system depends upon the transactions which can be categorized into groups. Various groups are: first, customer calling service outlets. In this transaction, customers have to go to the service outlet to avail the service. For example, theaters or health clubs. That means you are physically going to go to that service outlet and avail that service. Second is service firms calling customers. In such transactions, customers need not move from their place or premises. The employees of such organizations call on the customers and perform the service as the desired location. That means in this case, the customer remains at its place and the service provider goes and provides to the convenient location of the customer. The third is service firms transacting with customers at an arm's length. In such transaction, there is no need for the service provider to have a personal contact or face-to-face encounter with the customer. That means, suppose we talk for example of telecom, cellular, credit card. Now we got a credit card. Does the bank employee helps us? No. We have a credit card. We just go to the machine and use it. Similarly, we're using a telephone and at our handsets. So in this case, it is this kind of service. Now different distribution strategies and channel selections is difficult a decision. While choosing a distribution channel, the firm needs to consider the intensity of market coverage and how much people involved in the distribution channel so as to reach to the target customer. Market coverage can be achieved by following one of the three strategies. Intensive distribution. It is strategy in which producers sell products and services at a retail and wholesale levels in a particular territory. This distribution makes the service available to as many as possible through wider distribution network. It is suitable for mass consumption services such as transportation, electricity, and telecommunications. Selective distribution. It is strategy in which services are offered to an identified target segment through limited number of distribution outlets selected for the purpose. This type of distribution is suitable to services such as higher and technical education, tourism, and courier services. Next point is exclusive distribution. It offers services to focused segments through distribution outlets established exclusively for this purpose. This distribution may be suitable for healthcare services, hospitality services, retail networks, and so on. The strategies issued in service distribution. The basic strategies issued in service distribution are two-dimensional. One is service location, the other is service provider. The first strategy which we need to understand is service locations. Locations involving considering whether to deliver the service to customer and whether the service organization should be single location or multiple locations. Where to locate a service outlet is a critical decision which is influenced by many factors such as target consumers, the degree of interaction required by them, and accessibility. So, location of a service outlet is a critical decision and must be considered keeping in mind customer convenience. Following are the factors to be considered in determining location of a service outlet. First is proximity. The location of the service should be as close to the target market as possible. The proximity of the service outlet saves time and energy and also develops affinity among the customers. Second is image. Image of location should match the corporate image of the service company. A high branded company has a location which is not at an area good may have a negative impact of image in the eyes of the customer. Third is parking facility. A service outlet without inadequate parking facility is likely to be less attractive for customers to visit that. Next point is convenience. The location of service outlet should be convenient for customer, which is often measured in terms of public transport, other facilities, safety and security. Another point is accessibility to other services. A service outlet requires a host of other services and infrastructure facilities such as electricity, telecommunications, water and sanitation. The location that provides an adequate qualitative supply of these services is more suitable for service organization. The next point is competitive advantage. The effect of the competition cannot be ignored while taking any decision in services. Next point is technological innovation. Number of service sectors have realized that they can gain considerable competitive edge through changes of distribution. Use of technology and distribution provides competitive edge in this techno-savvy environment. Second category we need to discuss is service providers. Service firms need to select those service providers which are capable of managing the service outlets efficiently and provide quality services to the customers. Service firms may opt for direct distribution or private channels, or they may use both to reach the target market. In case of service distribution through a middleman, there are two marketers. The service principal is the service originator. The service deliverer is the distributor. So, the originator is the person who provides the service or creates the service. The service deliverer, the interfacer, is a distributor. The service deliverer becomes a co-producer of the service and fulfills the promise the service principal wants to provide to the customer. Distribution of the flow of service and forms of channels. There are different ways in which distribution flow of service takes place. There are 4 choices available to any service provider. First is direct marketing. In it, services are provided directly through employees of service organization. Second is use of one intermediary. In this option, agents and brokers are used as distributor of the service. In this, 2 flows are possible, direct channel or through agents. Use of 2 intermediaries. In this option, 2 types of intermediaries can be used by the company, such as agents, brokers and franchisors. In this option, there are 4 flow of service among different parties. Next is use of 3 intermediaries. It involves 3 types of intermediaries: agents, brokers, service franchisors, and electronic channels. 7 distribution flows are possible in this option. Forms of channel for distribution. First is company-owned channels. Some service company prefers to provide services directly to customers through their own channels. The service company develops national chains with multiple service outlets at various locations. Company-owned channels such as the branch, network of banks, insurance companies, postal services, and retail chains are common in service distribution. This type of channel offers many benefits to company in the form of control, consistency, and maintenance of image. Advantages of company-owned channels. Service delivery quality standards are easy to maintain. Employees own the service. Zero gap between promise and delivery. That means whatever the promise you have been set to the customer, whatever expectations you have set to the customer, you have to deliver it to the customer. There should be flexibility in the operations. In case of services, they cannot be rigid. You need to customize according to the demand of the customer. Whatever the customer wants, you need to do it. So services cannot be standardized. They cannot be homogenized. Services are heterogeneous. They need to be dealing with a different kind of customers, and you have to deal according to the customer demand. Greater control of operational processes is an important advantage which we have in achieving the company-owned channels. Also, direct feedback from contact employees. It is an important advantage in this case. The customer contact employees dealing with the customers give a feedback to the organization that these were the expectations of the service customers, and this kind of information and feedback we got, or this kind of requests we got, or this kind of complaints we got. So all this can be used as a package for innovating or regrading or re-upgrading or providing innovation to a service delivery. Speedy recovery for service deficiencies is important. Services are not foolproof. There can be error. But if we try to plug in the errors, plug in the gaps and recover it at a higher rate, at a speedy rate, makes a service reliable. Another important opportunity to establish a direct relationship with the customer through the company-owned channels is an advantage to them. But there are certain disadvantages of company-owned channels. First, it is a huge investment is required because it's a huge line of channel. Second, financial risk is higher because a lot of middlemen are involved. Third, market expansion is difficult because of the huge structure. Next, a failure in some location can affect the whole image because everything is integrated. At some location it is a failure, the whole process gets difficult and lost. Next is difficult to make adjustments needed in business format for different markets. So if we need to make it some kind of changes, the flexibility is less in such cases. Franchising. It is a method of expanding business rapidly and with low capital investments. It is multi-site distribution growth strategy in which third party agrees to establish and operate a service facility according to franchisor's specifications. Most franchisee contracts allow the franchisor to maintain tight controls over the franchisee operations. Franchising is mostly used in service businesses such as educational institutions, film processing companies, hotels, and restaurants. Agreements and contracts are essential documents in franchising. Generally, agreements and contracts include clear description of the following. Nature of service is important aspect to understand in the agreement and contract. Second is geographical territory. Third is percentage share to be paid to the franchisor on the revenue of the franchisee. Next is time period of agreement. Next is instructions, interactions and conditions. Next is support to be provided by the franchisor. Next is role and responsibilities of the franchisee. And another point which should be taken into account is rules regulations of termination of agreement. Types of franchising. Product or trade name franchising. It is a distribution contract under which a franchisor authorizes the franchisee to sell a product or to sell a product line using the franchisor firm trade name for purpose of promotion. It focuses on what is sold and the use of the image or brand of the franchisor in selling the product or a service. Business format franchising. This format covers the entire method for business operations. A successful retail business sells right to the operator the same business in different geographical locations. For example, McDonald's or KFC. The focus is in this format is how the business is run. So we have the same kind of format. If we talk about McDonald's or KFC, they have the same kind of format at different geographical locations in different cities, in different regions. So that is called as business format franchising. Advantages of franchising to franchisor. Business expansion and revenue gain is one of the important advantage. Service companies can reach more markets without much effort through franchises. The wider distribution results in increased revenues, larger market shares, brand name recognition, as well as economies of scale. Second point is consistency in outlets. Service companies can ensure consistency in performance of the franchises with the help of agreement and contracts which provide specific specifications and standard specifications. Knowledge of local markets. Greater reach of the market provides adequate information back through the franchisee relating to specific issues of local market and various dimensions of service quality. Next is shared financial risk and investment burden. Franchisors' investment burden get reduced significantly because franchisee invest money and other resources to arrange for required equipment and personnel for performing services. Some of the other advantages of franchising to franchisee are minimized risk of business, fast growth of business and learning curve, fast build-up of reputation due to joint promotion, low stock and financial aids, and financial risk is shared. Disadvantages of franchising. Problems in maintaining and motivating franchises is very important because when we have a huge franchising system, the problem is how to manage and motivate our franchises. It is a more difficult task to motivate the employees to perform the service as per the specification. Quality inconsistency may affect company image. Many a times, the quality of service offered by a franchisee vary from a service specification and which can bring a bad name to the organization. If a hotel chain in a particular city is not providing according to the specifications in the metro city, then it may bring a bad name. Control of customer relationship by the franchisee is another problem. Franchises build relationship with them and have all information about them, for which franchisor needs to remain dependent upon the franchisee. Lower potential profits, as profits are being shared between the franchisee and franchisor, both earn less than if they separate independently owned outlets. So if they are operating the independently owned outlets, they will have a different level of earning than in case of the franchisee. So if you have independently operating, your profits are high, but in case of franchisee, you need to share the profits. Loss of control. Of course, this is also another disadvantage. It entails some loss of control over the delivery system, and thereby autonomy is less in how customer experience the actual service. Fear of competition. It is natural. In this case, the competition is going to be there. With the passage of time, franchisee gains experience and they start their own business and become the franchisor. So the franchisor may fear that the competition from its franchisee over a period of time taking over its position. They believe they can operate the business better without constraints imposed by the agreement by the franchisor. Agents and brokers. Another type of channel and distribution strategy is involvement of agents and brokers. An agent intermediary who is authorized to negotiate on behalf of the principal with the customers. Brokers are middlemen who bring buyers and sellers together and assist in negotiation. Although brokers and agents are two different kinds of intermediaries, both of them perform similar functions in service distribution. Advantages of using agents and brokers. Low selling and distribution costs is the first advantage. Agents and brokers work on commission basis. Service companies need not employ permanent sales staff for this purpose and can just keep agents and brokers and just pay commission so that they can reduce their selling and distribution cost. Second advantage is specialized skills and knowledge of the agents and brokers. People who choose to be agents and brokers generally possess specialized skills in persuading people. Service companies can exploit those skills in favor without an additional cost by hiring these people for add-on services. Another advantage is wide representation in the market. Service companies can appoint many agents and many brokers and can have wider representation in the market. We can take the example of LSI, and it has huge market through its widespread of agents and brokers. Next point is knowledge of local markets. Agents and brokers operate within specific locations and have knowledge of various local issues and possess the talent to exploit their knowledge for making sales. So we can have local agents and brokers for each area to deal with that geographical region. Next advantage is customer choice. Customer confidence will be high when they take service through a known broker or agent. There are certain disadvantages of using agents and brokers. First is loss of control. There is loss of control in pricing and other aspects of marketing when agents and brokers interfere and prevail over the producers. Second is lack of focus. Some agents and brokers generally represent multiple service principals, and special focus may not be provided to any of the service principal. Another type of service distribution channel or strategy is electronic channels. Distribution of services through electronic channels without any direct human interaction, because services are distributed through a distribution system. These channels are becoming more and more popular in the distribution system of services. The examples of electronic channels are television, telephone, internet, and e-commerce, and so on. The channel requires a pre-designed service and a system to deliver it. Delivery of services through alternate channels like ATMs, call centers, and internet is growing at an ever increasing pace. The online shopping market is shared by pure players and multiple channel retailers. Pure players are companies that do not have an upfront store presence and sell products only via the internet. Multi-channel retailers are also called as brick and click retailers in case of electronic channels are the supplement conventional stores with online services, which is very much prevalent in today's environment. Advantages of electronic channel. First, quality control. Service firms can reach the customer without any variation in standard packages because through electronic channels we need only technology to reach to the customer. Then next advantage is the cost incurred for reaching is lower in case of electronic channels than in going physically to the target customer. Next is customer convenience. Of course, so electronic channels, customer can have access to the service whenever they want, wherever they want through the electronic media. So this is more customer friendly system. Distribution cost effective is extensive market coverage is possible through electronic channels. So the distribution cost is more effective in case of electronic channels. Customer choice is also another advantage. Through electronic media, a wide variety of services can be offered to customers of a choice and wider coverage. Now, there are certain disadvantages of electronic channels. First is lack of customization. Because if the customer is physically in front of you and you're directly interacting, you can cater to the customer according to the demand. But from an electronic channel, it is given and the customer has to purchase whatever is given. So there is lack of customization and adaptability to the local needs, and it is not possible through electronic channels. Lack of security of data. In case of electronic channels, do not ensure the security of personal data such as passwords, account numbers, etc. or there is always a fear for that. Lack of customer involvement in service delivery. There, the need for customer participation is very high in case of electronic channels, but customers should know how to operate the electronic media. If they are not electronic savvy, then customer involvement is very ineffective. Design of a service distribution system. A sound design of the system with poor execution will certainly yield poor or some negative result. For making the distribution system work properly, following points are to be kept in mind. First point is align the system properly. In designing a service distribution system, an indirect distribution system involves service principal, intermediaries, and customers. These parties have their own dimensions and goals. To make distribution effective, it is necessary to align the goals of distribution with corporate goals. Second point in determining an effective or designing an effective service distribution system is remember each part of the sales cycle. The sales cycle of any service product has three phases: before the sale, during the sale, and after the sale. Service companies should focus on location to ensure that locating the service provider is convenient for the customer. Another aspect in making decision in designing of a service distribution system is balance retail and wholesale intermediaries. As both parties, that is retail and wholesale intermediaries, require different skills and techniques to perform distinctive functions, service companies should ensure that activities of wholesalers and retailers are balanced properly and there is no ambiguity. So there should be coordination of retailers and wholesalers in the channel in understanding and designing an effective distribution system. Another important point we should keep in mind in designing a service distribution system is keeping the intermediaries loyal, because it is an era of competition. If you have intermediaries, your agents and brokers, if they are not loyal to you, they are likely to be influenced by the competitors, and you never know where they are leaking your information and giving gain to the competitor. So as the image of the company depends on the imitators and various kinds of intermediaries, so select only those intermediaries, those who are loyal and who can deliver desired result. They should be encouraged to build loyal relation with the principals through cooperation, extended support, service and exercising control in service processes. Next point which we keep in mind in designing a service distribution system is make wholesale intermediaries effective product manager. There should be proper delegation of the work to intermediaries, and they should be made responsible for effective distribution and production of service processes, so that there should not be any problem in the distribution channel. Next point we should consider. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned from this module. The role of distribution is to make the service reach the target market. What, how, when, where and who are the important questions which we frame while making a distribution channel decision. That means what to sell, how to sell, where to sell and when to sell. Responses to these 4 questions form the foundation of any distribution or a service distribution strategy. The distribution of service is a difficult proposition due to the fact that services are intangible, inseparable and variable. Services of its characteristics, it is not easy to distribute the service and there is high involvement of customer. But it is only in case of the electronic channels that the involvement of the customer is not physical involvement. Otherwise, the service as such is a difficult proposition and its distribution is a difficult proposition in designing a service distribution system. For the service organization, marketers face the challenge of selecting the particular channel of distribution, and this challenge of selecting the channel of distribution and to provide physical facilities for distribution of services is a matter of concern for the service organizations. Service distribution strategy should address the issues of place and time, speed and scheduling and electronic access, and all these parameters should be taken into account in framing a distribution strategy.